If you haven't peed or pooped your pants yet, you're already a winner in my book.
Sure, levels are good here. I am recording, so if you do want to talk shit about anyone,
perfect. Now's the time.
Yes,
great. My name is Sonda Sauers, and I am a musician in Bismarck, North Dakota. My first car was a 92 Grand Am.
Sounds so basic.
It's super basic. Yeah, it had an aftermarket sunroof, which was fun. It was an aftermarket sunroof, so it leaked when it rained. And it also, the passenger side seat didn't go back all the way. So I had some friends who were too tall, so I'd literally have to pop the sunroof open.
Oh, no way.
To let them sit in the vehicle. Yep.
Really?
Yep.
That's awesome.
So that was a fun feature.
Maybe.
Yes. It worked fine for me, but anybody over 6 foot, it was a struggle.
Reminds me of, there was this movie in the 80s called Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh, yeah.
And when he would have you seen this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he'd get in and stick his head into the ceiling and just crunch it up.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the same thing, except I just had a little, I guess it's technically a moonroof, right? Or I don't know. Anyway, just popped up. It wasn't one that opened.
Okay.
So it was just enough to like.
Oh, nice.
It wasn't
a few
open
extra
all the way.
inches.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
And then the wind on their forehead.
Yep. And then it had a lovely little like hide cubby on the dashboard.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What were you putting in there?
I mean, school books.
Of course.
I got it from, at the time, my high school boyfriend's dad. I was working at Taco John's. It was like a $500 car, but I didn't have enough to pay for it. So he let me pay in installments and paid halfway, and then I got it, and it ran. It ran for a long time, actually.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
How old were you?
15, 16, something like that. Yeah.
You going around picking up your crew?
Totally. I mean, I also worked. I worked at Taco John's all through high school, so that was helpful having a vehicle to get back and forth to work, school. And then we had different lunches, A, B, and C lunch. And so I was one of the first people to have a car, so I would leave my keys on top of one of the soda machines in the lobby and let friends borrow it.
Oh, really?
Who had their license but didn't have a vehicle, and just to cruise around.
That is
lunch.
very trusting.
Yeah,
My friend in high school gave me a spare key to his car.
Nice.
I didn't have my license. I didn't get my license till I was 20.
Wow.
For lunch, he would let me take his car out and cruise around.
Nice. That's extra trusting since you didn't have your license.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you assume all your friends did.
I know that they did. Or at least, I'm pretty sure that all of them had their license. Most of them were like a year older than me. Mm-hmm. They just didn't have a vehicle yet.
Yeah, right. Your phone is on
I totally
amateur.
Forgot. I know, dude. And I had the thought before I got here. I was like, turn your phone off. I had it off at work all day. But actually, I was waiting to get a message back from you. So I turned
Mine was on silent. It still is. I had Darren in here. And
Gotcha. Yeah, sorry about that.
This isn't the Accord or the Camry you were talking about.
I know.
This is so sporty.
I got a V6 engine and standard anti-lock brakes.
Is it fun to drive?
It's great. The control and the power, for passing and that kind of thing. And it was a couple thousand less than the Accord or the Camry.
Really? What is this?
It's a Pontiac, the new Grand Am.
Good for you.
Knock on wood, no car accidents. There was one, I guess is technically an accident. I was parked in the driveway of my parents' place, and I was singing in the car, and for whatever reason, didn't put it in park. Yep. And it was Aretha Franklin. I'm just like belting it out, and my foot slipped off the brake into the gas. I grew up in a trailer, so it just went into the skirting. Didn't do any damage, but my parents weren't super stoked about it.
right.
Other than that, though, no, I was really lucky because I know a lot of people, especially in high school, just happens. I don't know about law stories. I never ran from the law, not like in a vehicle. I never evaded the law. Definitely ran from law enforcement in fields. In parties,
you got away.
Yeah.
They usually don't chase you out in fields. I have another friend who did that.
Yeah. I always felt bad for the people who chose to drive.
Oh, yeah?
Because they would take down the license plate numbers.
Oh, of course.
So if you were there, you were kind of screwed. But, other than that, I wouldn't say I was like a good kid necessarily, but I never really got caught.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm in the same boat. I don't think I was a bad kid, but I went to places, that had parties and whatnot, and people were doing things. And sometimes the popo would show up, and you'd have to get out of there real quick.
Yep. I know one time we like pulled into my mom's driveway real fast and just like hid. And the cop pulled by. And again, it's a trailer park, so it's not like driving by a street. He's doing like 5 miles an hour right behind us. And right before that, somebody in my backseat had opened the door and puked. And I'm like, oh my God.
No.
Oh my God. Yeah.
At least they had the courtesy to open the door,
It's true, except that I was like, there's a cop coming, like, that's been following us, man.
There's maybe some instances when you're like, prefer it. You know what? Just barf in the back.
Yep, just puke in your lap, dude. Just this one time. The first time I picked up a guitar was I was living in Fargo with my brother, and I had my other brother's guitar, which was just a total piece of crap. Like, the neck was separating from the body. I tried playing it a few times. I was like, God, I just suck at this. I'm terrible, and I can't make it sound good. And then later on, I was living with a high school friend that I lived with through college, and my then boyfriend. And we all started playing music around the same time. My ex started playing banjo, and my roommate started playing guitar, and I picked up a guitar and just started living room playing,
Yep.
And I've written my whole life. Like, I literally have journals from when I was 7. I liked to write poetry and short stories and all that jazz. And so at a point I was like, well, what am I going to do with all these, I call them homeless words. I don't know what to do with them. And so I picked up guitar. I always liked to sing since I was little, and started just trying to put my words to music just to have something to do with them. But I didn't really play outside of the house until I moved here. So I worked here in 2014 on a campaign. I was a community organizer all through college and continued to do that. And I worked on a campaign that was a statewide campaign in 2014.
A campaign?
Yeah, I never did anything partisan. I always intentionally stayed away from partisan politics. Because I wanted to continue to work on issues. And I feel like once you work in a partisan thing, you're labeled. Yeah. And I always worked on issue campaigns.
Okay.
So it was North Dakotans for Clean Water, Wildlife, and Parks. And it was an initiated measure. Anywho's, I was managing that campaign and came here, like I said, I don't know if I said it while we were recording, but I grew up in Mandan until I was 10. So I don't really have friends. I didn't have friends when I moved back here, but my older siblings had friends that I knew. So I talked to Arnold Jordan, who's a musician in town. I was like, where can I go listen to some like local live music? And he recommended Laughing Sun. So I went down there and I was like, damn, Bismarck has a really cool music scene. I was living in Fargo at the time, but working in Bismarck. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, I was just blown away by the music scene and the musicians, like the quality of musicians in this town.
Yeah.
And how open it was.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I tried to make friends with some musicians in Fargo, and maybe it's different now, but it was kind of like snooty tooty.
Yeah. Too cool for school,
Totally. And so, yeah, I met some of the dudes from Boreal Gardens. Richard owned a record store at the time. I'd met him trying to get him to sign on to the campaign. And I just super fell in love with Boreal Gardens. I was like, this band is amazing. So when I went back to Fargo after the campaign ended, I was bartending at Side Street. Just super typical when you work campaigns to bartend in between. Make some money because they come and go. And so I booked them at Side Street. Just kind of maintained contact with them a little bit. And then in 2014, my mom was then diagnosed with cancer. I moved to Mitchell, South Dakota. Lived with her for a while she was going through treatment. She's all good. But then 2015, got a job at Dakota Resource Council in town here. And then kind of reached out to some of the dudes. Andrew Larrabee and I were hanging out, and he heard me play. And he was like, you should really play out. Like, you should play, you know? And he told Andrea Physic Falcon that I played, which I didn't know that he had told her that. And so she invited me to play ladies, like a women's network fundraiser on Giving Hearts Day at the Old Sun. And that was the first time I'd ever played out. I played She Backed Me, and I played 2 songs, and everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. Yeah. And I was just like sweating bullets. They couldn't find what line I was in. I changed the battery to the guitar while I was still lined in. Like, just everything was wrong. But I got done, and I was like, that was really cool. I might want to do that again. Yeah. And then I only had probably about 20 minutes at that point, but Andrew Larrabee, again, he would just give me like 20 minutes on his set. Let me play, you know. Yeah, so I started playing solo, did that for a while. Initially started doing this Ms. Mondegreen thing, and I get this question all the time, so I'll just go ahead and answer it. But Mondegreen is when you mishear a song lyric.
I looked that up, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. It comes from like an old Scottish poem that people, it was, the line was, I'm on the green, and people misheard it as Lady Mondegreen. Oh. And I was going to go with Lady Mondegreen, but there's a Canadian choir named Lady Mondegreen. So I was like, I'll just go by Ms. Mondegreen.
Nice.
Yeah. And that was usually just kind of a mishmash of getting people who played whatever instruments. At first, I wasn't good enough to like back other people, right? Like, that's a skill, learning how to do that. And so a lot of times it was other people backing me. But as it progressed, I really like to, and currently love, there's so many multi-instrumentalists. So one of my favorite things is putting people in spaces that other people don't see them in often. Okay. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, we did one where Daniel Pretzer, who's an Aventide killer drummer, right? Just rockin' drummer, also amazing guitarist. So he played lead. People don't get to show off those skills like you get put in a band, especially as a drummer, right? Yeah. If you're a drummer in every band you're in. Like, that's just because there's not enough of them. I would say that
I've been bitching about that lately.
Yeah. I say drummers are the hot girl at the party. Like, everybody is like, hey, right? You want to hang out? You want to hang out? Never enough to go around. In between, I was in a band called Wildly Appropriate for a couple of years. And that was Bryce Mack was our drummer. Sky Fralick played bass. Gus Lindgren was on keys. And then Kit Pines and myself. Yeah, we were together for about 2 years, and then Bryce moved to Duluth. So, speaking of drummers, we lost our drummer, and I always say that drummers might be, whether I don't know if people who don't play music regularly is aware of this, but drummers create the sound of a band. Like, it's so hard to replace. Like, there's you know what I mean? Like,
the way you work together, you know, it's so unique. And then when you get a different drummer, you yourself have to change a little to adapt.
Totally. Yeah. Bryce was one of the first people, and I'd actually known him since I was 19. We met in Fargo. I forgot he even lived here, or that he was from here, but he came back over COVID. And so I was like, hey, dude. But he was the first drummer I'd played with who played to my lyrics, like, emotionally, if that makes sense. That it wasn't just like, okay, this is the rhythm, but he would, like, if I was getting angry, if my lyrics were angry in a part of a song, he would, like, come back in, just like build me up, you know, to get me really, like, loud and mad. And so that was really, really cool. But he moved away, and then we formed Kit Pines, myself, and Nicole Morton, who's in Penumbra, were the Good Boys. And I drummed a bit in that. Wouldn't call myself a drummer necessarily, but I did drum. Yeah. And Nicole played keys and guitar, and Kit Pines played bass. But we kind of swap and just back each other on our tunes. And I really miss playing lead, because I don't get to do that when I'm playing solo, you know?
Yep.
But yeah, so after, and that kind of just like fizzled, which I think a part of that was we all kind of wanted to back each other to help each other get, like, we knew as the Good Boys we couldn't create the sound that, like, Nicole's songs deserved.
Right.
You know? So it was more of a, like, just trying to get it out there to, like, help find that. Like, what does Kit Pines, she wasn't Kit Pines at the time, so it was a very different sound. But, you know, what would a Kit Pines band be? What would a Nicole Morton band be? I've just kind of continued to do the Ms. Mondegreen thing, like, where I've got different folks playing different things with me. which is cool because I do have to change my songs every time.
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
Yep. But it's cool. It's really fun. Like June 7th is Matt Foster's 40th birthday.
Okay.
And so they're actually doing they play one of my songs and I'm just singing on it. And it's super fun because they just took my song and made it Green Boots.
Oh, yeah?
That's what I wanted them to do because I love Green Boots.
Yeah.
I was like, if you guys want to take it and just like run with it, have a bunch of stops, fake people out, do whatever you want, and just getting to sing is also really fun because I can just focus on that, which isn't something that I've done much, but I dig.
Yeah, that is totally dope.
Yeah.
So how's that been different?
Initially, it was really difficult, mostly because I was like, what the hell do I do with my hands? I don't know what to do with my hands. So I'll usually take the mic off and have a drink or something in my hand. That's the biggest part. Like, that's the hardest thing for me. But it's really cool because I hadn't thought, it sounds silly, but I hadn't thought of my voice as an instrument until the last few years. Like, oh yeah, that's also an instrument. And so I get to play around with the things that I can do vocally. And, anytime we're like splitting our attention, we're never going to do both things 100%. We just can't. So if I'm playing guitar and I'm singing, I'm not doing either one as good as I could.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's fun to get to like actually take a moment and think like, do I want to go big here? Do I want to try to go high? Do I want to use a lot of vibrato? Do I want to like just really feel it out? And I also get more time to really listen to what's going on.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super fun. I love to say anything. It's great.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fun movie.
It is.
I got to meet him at
Really?
a Comic-Con. Yeah, John Cusack.
What was he at a Comic-Con for?
I don't remember if he was promoting something. I didn't even know he was going to be there. I turned the corner and he just came out of another area where he was doing photos. So he opened a curtain and he came down and he sat at a table and he was all by himself. And I'm like, holy shit, that's John Cusack.
That's amazing, dude.
So I went up there and I picked out a picture and had him autograph it. He didn't look up once. He had his shades on the whole time. And his words were very short.
Sure.
And I was like, okay, well, that's okay, I guess. See you later.
Could have been overstimulated or high.
Yeah. He could have been super stoned.
Who knows?
Or in
man.
a bad mood, but either way, I didn't care.
Yeah. No, that'd be cool. That'd be cool. He's such a great. Have you ever seen The Ice Harvest?
Yeah, that was him and Billy Bob Thornton. Mm-hmm. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Not as old as this, I guess.
Right.
But yeah, wasn't that them?
Yep, John Cusack and Billy Bob Thornton and Oliver Platt, I think, is in it. Actually, I didn't see it when it came out. I saw one time I was watching my Big Lebowski copy, and it was a preview on there.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah. I had Gus on, and we were talking. I asked him what his favorite record store movie was, and it really seems to be a High Fidelity or Empire Records.
Sure.
Maybe there's more. I'm not sure. There probably is. What would you pick? I hope you've seen both.
I have seen both. I haven't seen High Fidelity in a hot minute. Actually, I haven't seen Empire Records in a hot minute either.
Yeah, right.
Probably Empire Records. No, I don't know. That's a tough one. I'm so bad at favorites, dude. People ask me, what's your favorite, whatever. I'm like, I don't know. Is it fall? Is it summer? Like, I have favorite things for, like, what the weather is, you know? So, mostly you got me hung up thinking, I'm like, are there other record store? There's got to be other record store movies, right?
Right, there's got to be. I'll have to look that up before I bring this up to anybody else again.
I know my favorite video store movie is definitely Clerks.
Ooh, yeah.
But
some of my dream jobs that I never got, working in a video store. Always wanted to do that because I'm big into movies.
Sure.
Working in a record store because I like music. Never got to do that. I think working in a movie theater, too, for the new movies, you know.
Sure, right. Yeah.
Obviously, there's a bunch of shit work that's, you know, popcorn, maybe cleaning out the shitter or something. Mm-hmm. But in my mind, you get to watch movies.
That is true. That is a big part of it, I'd imagine, depending on where you get, you know, put.
I got to meet Kevin Smith at a Comic-Con.
I
my
do.
Photo
I
taken with him
Kevin
for sure.
Smith.
He's at every Comic-Con anyway. So
it's not surprising. I've seen a couple of his Smodcasts live.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I saw Jay and Silent Bob Get Old and
Nice.
Smodcast. I fell in love with Kevin Smith in high school, and not everything he does is good. And I'm
No,
super
no, and
aware
I'm
of
okay
that.
with-
Like some of
yeah.
it kind of sucks.
Yeah, yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah, I
But
watched that latest Jay and Silent Bob movie. Was
The reboot?
disappointing. Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen Clerks 3 because that came out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
I cried at that. Don't tell
Did you?
anybody. I did.
I cried at Clerks 2.
Oh, yeah?
So I went to high school in Mitchell, South Dakota, and drove to Sioux Falls to see Clerks 2. We only got so many movies, it was a pretty small movie theater, and I really wanted to see it, and I totally cried. At the end, they do that, like, pull back, and it turns to black and white,
Yes. Yeah, that was cool.
But I just really I think he really influenced me in terms of music. Like, I love that from day one, he was like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it with my friends. And
Yeah.
I think that that's so cool.
Yeah.
And he was just like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it. I'm going to sell my comic book collection. I'm going to go into debt. I'm going to do this thing. And I just really like his philosophy in life.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really what drew me to him more. I mean, of course, he's got amazing movies, and I have a few of his comics that he did. But, and all of his books pretty much that
Yeah.
he's written.
Oh, yeah. I got his book, too, signed.
Yep.
I think he's may have influenced me into podcasting, too.
Sure.
Didn't really think of it that way, but
Yeah.
one of the first podcasts I started listening to was, why can't I think of it now? Him and Ralph Garman, Hollywood Babylon.
Hollywood
That's what it was.
Babylon. Yes, I was gonna say I listened to that one a lot when I also listened I did the half marathon in Fargo in 2014, and I listened to that one a lot when I was training, like doing my long runs and whatever. Like
A half marathon. How far?
13.1.
Whoa. A 26 mile is a marathon.
Yes, 26.2 is a marathon.
I don't know if I could do a half.
I didn't think I could either, and that's kind of why I did it.
Is there an 8th marathon that's a thing? Just so I could do it and feel good about myself?
Would that be like a
not.
10K or a 3K? Maybe?
Yeah.
Something like that. You could totally do it.
Yeah.
It's absolutely mental. At a certain point, it's 1,000% mental. Like mile 11 was the hardest for some reason. I hit mile 11 and I was like, shit, dude, I'm done. I can't do it. And then I hit mile 12 and I was like, okay, I could crawl if I have to. Like from here, I could crawl. But between mile 11 and mile 12, for some reason, I was just like, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. This is it. And then there was a person dresses, because, it was in Fargo, and, like, people dress up and hang out, like, who live along the route or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Somebody was dressed as Death, and they had a sign that said, the end is near.
Oh, no.
But it was because it was, like, right near the end of the race. And I was
Yeah.
oh, okay, right on. And that was super helpful, actually, and really encouraging. Like, people had, it was like, if you haven't peed or pooped your pants yet, you're already a winner in my book. And, but yeah, I was in a weird place, I guess. Like, I had graduated college. School was always the thing I was best at for my entire life. Rocked at school.
Yep.
It was just...
Well, smarty pants. Huh?
Yeah. Well, in that capacity, I do really well with, like, that kind of learning.
Yeah.
And just love reading. I love words. I'm a super duper word nerd. And that helps with everything. If you... math, whatever,
Ooh, word nerd. I like that.
Word nerd.
Can I just call that this podcast the word nerd?
Sure. Perfect. That sounds good. I mean, that's why I go by Ms. Mondegreen, right? Total
Yeah.
word nerd thing. But yeah, I was just in a weird place. I graduated college, didn't really know what I was going to do with my life. And so I like to make up challenges for myself when I don't need to, I guess, when I'm in those spaces. So I did the half marathon and then flew to Vancouver, hung out with a friend, and then that's when I started on that campaign when I came back, which was also a really big challenge, working on anything about clean energy or water in North Dakota. And then that led me to music.
You said Miss or Ms. Mondegreen?
Ms. like MZ.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
How do you spell that? Mondegreen.
Mondegreen, like
Monde.
Monde. Yep.
Okay.
Green.
Do you have any that come to mind?
Like, there's a bathroom on the right.
Oh, yeah, right.
Excuse
There's
me
a
while
lot
I
of common
kiss this
ones.
guy.
Yeah.
I always used to think that big old jet airliner. I thought it was big old South Carolina, which doesn't make sense, but that's the whole thing with Mondegreens, right? I actually want to write a song eventually that's a bunch of Mondegreens. I want to compile them and try to make them kind of make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I was a kid and I was trying to remember the song I Wish I Was With Jesse's Girl.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah,
It's just called
yep.
Jesse's Girl.
Yep.
In my head, I was like, I wish I was Jesse's girl. And then I was thinking, wait, isn't that a guy singing that? Why does he want to be Jesse's girl?
Sure.
And then I didn't hear the song for a long time. So I put that in my own head until I heard it like years later. And I was like, oh, it's not that at all.
That makes way more sense.
There was a Rancid song that went, I had a dream I was a vigilante sidekick. And I always heard it as, I had a dream there was a midget inside me. And I thought that was cool.
That's a really good one, dude. That's a really good one. Yeah, I don't have any super funny ones. I used to think I second that emotion was a second-hand emotion. That was one when I was little. But yeah, that's actually something I want to do. I want to get from, I might have to steal that one because I want to ask people that. Like,
right.
I had a midget inside me. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I had a dream there was,
Or I had a dream.
I was a vigilante sidekick.
Right.
And there was I'll play that for you too.
Okay, cool.
Just to see if you can hear it.
Sure, sure. Well, that's the thing is once they're pointed out, you're like, oh, I can totally hear that, how you'd get that, you know?
Yeah.
I haven't really done like a tour. I've played North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, Wisconsin. So I've played around Montana a little bit, but I haven't really done a tour. I'm kind of in this weird space where, I was like super ready with Wildly Appropriate, but it was my first band also. So, because I'm kind of a late bloomer. I'm 36 now, and I didn't start playing music live until 2017, 2018.
Okay.
So, Wildly Appropriate was my first band. I was like, all right, let's go. Let's do this. We were playing a ton. After that, I've just kind of been not sure, like, where I want to go with it, what I want to do. It'd be nice to have a band again. I've played a lot solo, but honestly, you just get sick of your own voice. You're doing like 3 and 4 hour shows, man. It's like, I just need to, like, I'll start doing things to challenge myself because I'm bored. I'm like, how many songs can I go into without taking a break? Like, without stopping?
Sure.
How many can I meld together? Like, which keys can I change into? Because I just, like I said, I get a little bit bored with it. It's just, I always say that playing solo versus playing with a band is like masturbating versus having sex.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's an easy thing to do.
Right,
it doesn't take much time, you get all your stuff, like, and you know how to do it. But when you're playing with other people, it makes you do things you wouldn't otherwise do. And there's just so much more energy.
Yeah.
And it's just a different thing.
You motivate each other a little bit too.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep. And you can split up some of the work. Like, I hate doing social media stuff. Terrible at it. Don't want to do it. Don't care. Like, I'll do all the booking. I'll do all the logistics.
Yes.
No problem. Got
Yes.
it. Any of the promotional stuff, I'm like, man, I really don't want to do that. Like, I'll hit share. That's about the extent,
I have such a difficulty promoting my podcast.
Yeah.
Because I hate social media.
Totally. Yep.
I've been grossed out, and I'll go on here and there for vacation photos.
Sure.
Kind of like, hey, look at me. I'm at a beach, or
Yeah.
I'm at this concert. Look at me, kind of thing. And even then, it feels a little gross.
Yeah.
But promoting myself through the podcast, through, just starting social media and getting on, because I went on Twitter and I read what other people write, and they're just douchey. Yeah. Corny, cringy, and dicks.
Totally.
And I don't want to have to deal with that.
Yep.
So I'm trying to navigate this. So I got to buck up and do that. I will, though. What do you got coming up next year? Anything lined up?
I've intentionally not really been booking, but I still ended up with quite a few shows this June. So I'm playing in Minnesota. I keep forgetting the name of the town. It's outside of Detroit Lakes. I'll be doing solo, but playing with a band called Roots Within. And then coming back here and super stoked for Foster's 40th. They're playing at the Laughing Sun, Green Boots with Harsh Light. And I'll be doing a couple tunes with them. Doing a record store show on the 13th. And the 20th, I'll be in Minot at the Original with Camp Comfort. They're at a Rapid, I believe. They're super fun. And Penumbra. Nice. And then I'm doing a Ms. Mondegreen thing. So it'll be me, Geiger, And Joey B, who's kind of new to town, ridiculous keyboardist, like ridiculous, dude. Just he's been playing with Anonymous Phenomenon.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah. And so we're doing a little 3-piece thing unless we can find somebody to drum for it. But again, drummers.
Yeah. When you messaged me, you're like, "Are you a drummer?"
Yeah.
And we chatted, but man, you made me want to become a drummer real quick.
Yeah. Well, Sarah said she thought maybe you had drummed with the Vex. The
Yeah,
Vex.
no.
Yeah. So she's like, you should hit him up. I'm like, well, that'd be real cool.
Yeah, that would have been.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking about getting a small drum set. Not just for playing in bands, but the exercise.
Dude, it's
Yeah.
super fun. I do love drumming. I need to get my kit set up again. It's also just an amazing emotional release.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I be a super downer, but I had a friend pass away. But just, like, being pissed off and grieving and just, like, it's probably the most cathartic thing to play
Yeah.
in that aspect. Camping, love camping. So I'm the youngest of 4, but all my siblings are significantly older than I am. So when we moved to Reno, it was just me and my parents. I, no surprise, didn't have the easiest time fitting in because I went to, I don't even know how many different schools I went to growing up. So I spent a lot of time alone. So many of my hobbies I've realized are just like things where I'm not around people.
Yeah.
Like I love camping. I love
why
being
I
out in my
love camping,
garden.
too.
I know.
Yeah.
Like I've had a hard time finding like good trails in Bismarck where you can go walk, like not necessarily camping, but just places that you can go walk that there aren't a ton of other people.
Yeah.
So always looking for those. But
There really aren't any.
no, yeah.
But I do love biking around Sertoma, and when you go under that little tunnel under the expressway,
Yep.
and then going back, I don't know, through the trees, kind of behind the golf course area.
Sure.
That's a nice little area.
Yeah. Over in Mandan, there's that cool little spot where like the archery.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I
there
haven't
aren't as
gone
many
back
people
there.
Yeah. It's a good spot. It's a cool spot for biking too.
Where do you like camping?
I mean, so I loved camping in North Dakota. I used to play a gig out in Medora every summer, and we would camp out there. And I really like Cross Ranch. But last year or the year before, I feel like I got spoiled. My dude and I went on like a 9-day camping trip.
Ooh,
Yeah, it was
that
really
sounds
awesome.
Yes.
It was super awesome.
Tent? Camper?
Yes, tent. Yep.
Right on.
Yeah. And we went to House on the Rock in Wisconsin, which is just like this crazy. Have you heard of it?
No.
It's super nuts. It's like this dude, I can't remember his name, but it feels like you're walking into Edward Scissorhands' house. Like, It's just crazy. This guy, I can't remember why he wanted to build it, but he did. And it's got the craziest collections of stuff. He built it up on a rock, like hauled the stuff up with like mules.
What?
Dude, yeah, I don't know what was going on with the dude, but, it's got some real Howard Hughes vibe, Like, I'm assuming there was something like that going on. I don't know. Because he didn't want to open it up as a museum. Like, people kind of, like, pushed him into it before he died to opening it up as a museum.
Okay.
But it's got the world's largest carousel inside. And then it's got these, like, mannequins that have angel wings. And it's, like, a horror movie kind of.
Yeah.
They do a Halloween thing where they, like, make it scary. But it's pretty scary to start with. And then it has, like, all these music machines. Like, there's one that's literally an entire room. Do you know what I'm talking about, music machines?
Right, like the old school pianos that, like, do all the weird cartoony shit.
Totally, like, player piano kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they'll have, like, there's an entire symphony orchestra in one room. And that's the whole room is the music machine. So just crazy, crazy stuff. So, yeah, so we went there, and then we camped in Wisconsin, a few different places, and it was awesome. It rained a ton, but we didn't realize we were on this thing called the waterfall loop in northern Wisconsin. So all the waterfalls were just phenomenal because it rained so much, and then there were just mushrooms popping up. We went camping in like late September, early October. I love camping either like early in the spring or the fall.
Yeah. Early in the spring, especially around waterfalls, are really great. Late in the fall during that foliage.
Yep, totally. That's exactly what we were doing. And that was,
nobody's around late in the fall.
Right. And
kids are in school.
Yep. No bugs.
No bugs.
That's, another big part of it. So yeah, so we did that for like 9 days. We just camped around, went to Minnesota, camped a couple places, but I was like, came back to North Dakota and I was like, damn, our parks are not as cool. Because Wisconsin, every park that we stayed at Wisconsin had like a full service, like bathroom, shower. It was just awesome. And then, also we just don't have like the trees.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's kind of a must for me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll look at a new campground or a place I haven't been, and I'll use the satellite image so I can see like if there are trees, shade, whatnot.
Yep.
I love a lot of our parks. Sully Creek we camp at. Metagoshi is probably my favorite.
Yeah.
This weekend we're going to Lewis and Clark State
Okay.
Park. I've been there a few times.
Okay.
I like a nice open area that's not a whole lot of flow. We
Okay.
can bring our paddle boards out there.
Nice. Where's that one?
This is up by Williston
Okay.
area.
Okay. Cool.
I know we're getting a fourth one, Pembina Gorge.
Yeah. Haven't
Or a
been
14th
there.
one.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know when that's going to open. Probably another year or two yet.
Yeah. We should. Thank you for reminding me of that because, my dude and I have been talking about going up there. He loves it up there. I haven't been there.
Okay.
So yeah, we've been wanting to go up there, especially in the fall. Same thing,
Yeah.
just to check out the
that's why I go to Metagoshi
Yeah,
in the fall.
We did that last fall. We got one of the little yurts, and there was nobody else there.
yeah.
And it was phenomenal. It was great. You're like literally just like right on the water.
Yeah. I know which yurt. I haven't stayed there, but
Yeah.
I want to get the cabin that's I can't remember if it was Osprey or there's one that's a little hike to get to.
Yep. Yeah. Like they were doing some kind of renovation on one of the bathrooms, so half the campground was shut down. So that was why it
perfect.
was so nice.
I love
We were
that,
like,
yeah.
this is fantastic. And we saw like thousands of the tiniest little frogs I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah?
It was just great. Yeah, that's most of my jam. It's just being in nature and not around people that much. I love people, don't get me wrong. That's what makes me stay sane and like helps ground me and keep me from being a totally crazy person.
Yeah, I love getting away. Sometimes can be spooky, but I never actually feared animals or bears or wolves or anything like that. And the scariest time I've ever had was from another person.
Yeah.
We were camping somewhere in the Black Hills in South Dakota, just the two of us late at night having a fire. The night before was very dry. When we were in Sully Creek, we couldn't have a fire there. We get to South Dakota the next night, we could have fires. There were no signs posted or anything. And we're sitting here late at night. This truck pulls into the campground with one headlight and slowly kind of circles it and then stops and faces us for a while. And I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing, Is he going to go use the shitter or what? But he just sits in his truck for a while. And then he guns it. And he pulls right into our spot.
What the fuck?
Right behind our Jeep, blocking us in. He gets out and he's screaming, shut it down, shut it fucking down right now. And I'm thinking it's the camp manager or some authority,
Sure.
And we're like, oh, I thought we could have a fire, blah, blah, blah. I put out the fire, and he's still freaking out about the smoke. The fire's out.
Sure.
And he's like, it's not out. He goes to his truck, he grabs a bucket, and he runs down to the creek that we're right next to, and he couldn't even find that in the dark. And he starts fumbling around. And I get more water from the spigot, and I'm coming back, and he just keeps yelling. And then I start yelling back because I'm losing my patience. Like, the fire is out and whatnot. And then he says all this shit, like, we're going to get fined and yada, yada, yada. He winds up taking off and goes down to this hotel that's a couple miles away. And at this point, we start going over what happened, my wife and I. At some point, he had mentioned that I asked him if he was a park ranger or something. And he said, no, he was a firefighter. It wasn't until he was gone when we noticed, like, wait, his plates were from Wyoming. Things weren't adding up. And that's when it got kind of spooky. And we're like,
Sure,
well,
yeah, dude.
what the hell? I don't think this guy is who he says he is. And then I timed out how long it would take him to get back. And I figured, well, if we hear him come back, we should probably leave. And then, yeah, sure enough, heard his truck and saw that one headlight coming down the dirt road. And that I've never had this fear, but like every hair on my body just stood straight up. And I'm a hairy guy, you know.
Sure.
So I was like, whew. He starts flying up the road. I'm like, grab the dog, get in the Jeep. We're heading out of here. We get in the Jeep and we're backing out and he keeps going. And then there's another car behind him that's flying right behind him. They go right by. And we're like, holy shit, like maybe he brought buddies or something. And it was dark, so I figured he kind of missed the turn to get back in here. And we head out and we go the opposite way, go back to the hotel that was a few miles down the road. And we talked to them and they're like, yeah, this guy came here. He was all freaking out. We thought he had a gun. He started peeling out and doing circles in the parking lot. And then we kind of figured that maybe he pissed somebody off and they were chasing him away, kind of thing. We had a sheriff come down and then we went back to our campground and we just decided to tear it down because there was no way we were going to hang out by ourselves there.
Totally.
I'm not a gun owner.
Yeah.
I had my Rambo knife right there.
Sure.
That's about the best I can do, but, you know, I don't know if I'm bringing a knife to a gunfight.
Right. Or just a crazy person.
Yeah,
like
and I think that's all it was.
Yeah.
I think he was just having a manic episode.
Sure.
But it was enough to ruin that camping spot for a couple of years.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't even know if I've actually been down there. Like it's one of my favorite spots in South Dakota.
Where is it at?
Spearfish Canyon.
Oh, okay. Sure. Yeah.
And it's a couple miles down a dirt road, and it's dark and secluded. Very nice.
Sure.
Creek comes right through there.
Perfect.
It's cold, but you can still wash up in it.
Yeah.
You could probably drink out of it. I mean,
I'm sure.
So nice and clear. And yeah, this dickbag just kind of had to ruin it.
Sucks.
Yeah.
No, that's definitely my biggest fear camping also. It's not so much animals.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, especially around here, right? Like, if it's going to be a bear, it's going to be a black bear. And they're not really trying to mess with you, you know, like they might try to get your food, but that's about it. And so, yeah, I'm not super terrified of that, but I love the idea. I have this like romantic idea of having like a long camping trip by myself, but I don't have a dog. And as a chick, I'm just like, fuck that. Like, no way. Like, too many women go missing in parks, you know? Like, I'm not.
And you've met Molly, my dog. She's not going to be protecting us.
Yeah. So I like that idea. But so usually it's me and my dude. And I guess I don't know when this is going to air. Probably not for a little bit, yeah?
A few weeks.
Okay, cool. Because, we just got engaged this weekend, but we haven't told a ton of people.
Right on.
Yeah. But we're looking to we're actually hoping to do a camping wedding.
Ooh.
Like, that's
awesome.
The goal.
I hate destination weddings.
Yeah.
When people do that and say, hey, we're going to do this in Hawaii, get fucked.
Yep.
But destination camping, that sounds awesome.
It wouldn't be destination even really, right? Like, we're looking at around the area.
Cross Ranch could be cool.
Yeah. Something like that, where it'd be nice to rent out like a whole section of a campground. And people could tent and whatever. Because, like, the best part of the wedding, for me, every wedding I've ever been to, is you kind of feel like you get cut off at the end. And that's when everybody's hanging out and you want to, like, bullshit and just keep hanging out, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's my favorite part anyway. And same with him. And we love camping and being outdoors. And so, we're trying to, if you have any recommendations, we're looking at like September, probably 2026, end of September, maybe early October.
Of this year already?
No, God, no.
Oh,
no, 2026.
Yeah.
No, I don't want to put that on either of us. We're just... It's just not, we're not those kinds of people. Like, I want to make it awesome, for sure, and I want to make it kick ass. I was saying to somebody, I'm like, we're getting older. I'm 36. I keep forgetting. My birthday was in March. That's why I paused.
Oh, I do that all the time, too.
Yeah.
I'm like, after 40, I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yep. And COVID screwed me up because I had 2 birthdays. Like, so I came back from California, and then it was my birthday the next week, 2020 or whatever that was. And I just like almost forgot that I had a birthday that year. 'Cause it was like right in the heat of it, you know?
Yeah.
And just, totally. And I was like still quarantining myself because I had just flown in from San Francisco. And at that time it was a super hotbed and whatever. But yeah, so, and he's almost 40 and we're like, there aren't so many of these left. Like, where we can, at a certain age, people don't have big weddings. And we don't want a big, fancy wedding. But we're planning on doing kind of like a festival wedding. you know, like just have the people we love play music and hang out and camp and just enjoy the shit, you know, like just I want it to be for everybody.
Yeah.
Like I'm not about like me. Like I don't really want that. And also it's like a celebration of, I'm a huge fan of Mr. Rogers. Like as a human,
nice.
He's just, I think he's one of the coolest people that's ever lived. And he has this exercise where he's like, take a minute and think of all the people who have loved you into being. And when you start thinking about it, then you start thinking about, you know, whatever, say your mom, your dad. And then you think about all the people who then loved them into being. Right.
Nice.
And so we're getting married. And so like there's this gratitude for everybody who has loved Andrew, my partner, into being. Right. And just that, like that idea of just like celebrating, like we would not be together. Like the person he fell in love with and the person I fell in love with, we wouldn't be those people without all of these people.
Right.
You know, and so I want it to be more about that, about just like, thank you to every person who has helped me become who I am. And, you know, for the good or bad of it. And I just can't think of a better way than having just like a kick-ass camping, everybody hang out, play music, enjoy yourself. Yep. So that's our aim.
You mentioned Mr. Rogers too. I was thinking about him the other day.
Yeah?
And a few other nice guys, kind of.
Yep.
And I was thinking, what would be a really good, like, power group of super awesome nice guys? Like Mr. Rogers, like the Avengers. You get Bob Ross in there.
Sure, totally.
Steve Irwin.
Sure. I would throw Dolly Parton in there.
Dolly. Nice. That would be a good one.
Yep.
A femme fatale.
Right.
I'm not sure. Maybe Pee Wee Herman. Would he fit with that group? I know he had that one masturbating thing, but,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah. I guess I don't know. I don't know if he's I'm sure he's a nice guy. I don't know.
I love Pee Wee.
Yeah. No, he's hilarious. I was just thinking of the last few things I've seen him in, which are like really dirty, like darker humor.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like I was just watching an episode of Portlandia that he is in that was really good.
Oh.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
Yeah. He plays it's like one of the weirdo skits,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know. And he plays a lawyer, former weirdo. And yeah, so because he's kind of, I feel like he's leaned into that later in his career, just like leaning into it. So I don't know if he's in that same category, but what would the Avengers of, like, what would the ultra nice team do?
Oh,
just like,
I don't know. I don't know.
Right, I was just curious. Yeah.
I just wanted to see all these guys in like one photo. I wanted, if I could find a good artist, maybe get that made.
Totally.
Back on camping too, another great place to camp. If you want seclusion,
Yes.
Voyager State Park has a lot of these, it's on a big body of water.
Okay.
And a lot of the campgrounds are on little islands.
Cool.
So when we went, we stayed for not quite a week on our own little island.
That's awesome.
And it had like a vault toilet, but it wasn't covered. So it was just open, just a shitter right there.
Yeah.
So I'd have to be like, all right, Nancy, don't come over here. I'm taking a poop.
Yep.
But for days, you don't see anybody else. You bring enough food, water.
Yeah.
God, that was amazing.
That sounds
And we went in late September, and for some reason, the hottest day came along of that summer in late September.
Sure. But at least you're on water.
Yeah.
That's
So
what-
I would
yeah.
dip in just to cool off and then like get out, and it would just evaporate right away.
Sure.
But man,
Yeah, that sounds really nice.
super nice.
I was in California. Like I said, I was in California when COVID hit. And I had been going through just a bunch of shit. I was, like, my cousin had died. Then my grandma was run over and killed by her landlord.
What the fuck?
Dude, yeah. That was in Mandan. It made the news, Mandan news, whatever. And then my roommate that I had, like, learned to play guitar with or whatever died that fall.
Oh,
And my friend was working on a farm in California, and it was, like, damn near a mountaintop. Like, it was literally, like, one more round of the mountain to get to the top of the mountain.
Oh, wow.
And it was totally off grid. And he was like, you should just come out here and work for a little while. So I went out there for a few months, and it was off grid. There was no cell phone reception unless you went up to the top.
Oh, yeah.
And it was like, chopping wood, doing all those things. And it was awesome. And the first week I think I got there or whatever was Christmas, and everybody took off, so it was just me and the dogs. And I woke up on Christmas Day, and I thought I was going to be kind of bummed, but it was the first time the sun had, it must have been a month after I got there, whatever, but the sun finally came out, because it's Northern California in the wintertime, so it's gray and rainy, you know. The sun came out, and I was listening to Dolly Parton, and I was like, this is the best, man. This is the best. And same thing, we had an outhouse, but there was no door. So, like, people would just look to see it, because the dogs would always go with you. So, like, people would just look and be like, are the dogs over by the outhouse? All right, somebody's in
there.
it. But you're just, like, literally taking a shit looking at, like, the mountains, you know? And I was like, this is pretty badass.
Yeah.
And that was the only time I was a little afraid of animals, because of mountain lions. They did have mountain lions there, so that was...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, actually, you know, that's one thing that kind of scares me. I've seen a few videos of hikers being kind of hounded by mountain lions.
Yeah, dude.
There was one that like just lasted for, I don't know, 10 minutes. This guy's trying to get back away from one, and it just kept growling and it kind of charging him a little bit.
Oh,
you
my
know?
God, that's terrifying.
And then when you see them in just photos or a stuffed mounted one somewhere, you can still see all its muscles and how big its paws are. I'm like, if I came across this, I would just turn into a skunk and shit.
Dude, totally.
As a defense mechanism.
Totally. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I don't think it would work, but
I don't think so either. I don't think they'd care. But every time I was walking on the mountain and I saw bear scat, I was like, nice. Because if the bears were there, the mountain lions weren't, you know? And I was like, I'll take the black bear if it comes and tries to get my food, cool, whatever. But yeah, I'm terrified of big cats. The idea of it is just, because they, you know, like, and that's it. Bears don't stalk you. Right. Like, they're not, I mean, grizzlies are a little different, but black bears don't stalk you. They don't give a shit. Like, they're just like, burp. But yeah, I don't, anything that's predatory like that.
Oh, yeah. And no, you'll only see it if they want you to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. By the time you see it, you're fucked. There's just no two ways around it. Yeah.
Yeah, this has been fun. I could probably talk camping all day, too.
Same. I'm a fan of just the outdoors and
yeah, like this weekend is going to be my first camping trip, and I've been thinking about this for months.
Sure. Yeah.
And planning some other ones, and yeah, have yet to do it, but I've tried to camp at every state park in a summer. There's 13. There's gonna be 14.
Yeah.
It's tough to do.
Yeah, no, I get that. I would definitely, if you haven't camped around Wisconsin, there's a ton of them. And like I said, if you like waterfalls, you can just Google it, whatever, but it's called a waterfall loop. So I'd imagine, especially if you went, well, probably now, I don't know if it's been as wet there as it has here, but I bet it would be really dope if it was.
Right.
Because, like, we were at one of the waterfalls, and it was, like, I guess it rarely flowed.
Oh,
and
okay.
it was just like running like crazy because of all of the rain. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that. It's in northern Wisconsin.
Okay.
It's super beautiful. And like I said too, at that time of the year, it was just mushrooms everywhere. Just like crazy mushrooms I'd never seen before. Different colors and
nice.
Yeah.
So it feels like a kind of fantasy almost.
Totally. And it was, really like treed and wooded. And at that time it was fall. So it was all different kinds of colors. And it was, which made it a little harder to do like looking for mushrooms because all the leaves are on the ground. But it's a real good spot for sure.
Yeah, I've not camped there. And that would be great. Two of my favorite things, cheese and camping.
Yeah, cheese. Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to go wrong with good cheese.
I know.
What's your favorite kind of cheese?
Boy, that's a tough one.
See, favorites are hard, man. Favorites are hard.
I don't know. I don't think I have a favorite. I don't know if it's not cheese, but my least favorite that's called cheese would be head cheese.
Ugh. No, not my jam.
Least favorite, nowadays is probably just fake cheese.
Yeah.
Anything that's like very processed.
Velveeta and Kraft and all that jazz.
Right.
Yeah.
But I can still eat it. And, sometimes you have to put stuff like that in macaroni.
Yeah.
Mac and cheese.
My mom makes a fudge that has a little Velveeta in it, and it sounds like the grossest thing on earth, but it makes it just like super creamy.
Huh.
Yeah. She usually just doesn't tell people.
Right.
Because they're like, oh, this is great. But if you tell them, they're like, I can taste the cheese. Like, nah, dude, you can't.
Okay, now I want to try this sometime.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yep, yeah.
Well, thank you for coming in.
For sure.
Sharing part of your
thanks
story.
for having me.
Talking camping.
Yeah. Playing solo versus playing with a band is like masturbating versus having sex.